Hello and welcome to the Illinois Association of Park Districts Living Legends video series. My name is Peter Murphy, President and CEO of the Illinois Association of Park Districts. And I'm here today with Diane Maine, the 2015 Chairwoman of the Illinois Association of Park Districts Board of Trustees. Diane has served on virtually every IAPD committee, is an iParks board member, and is currently serving her 38th year as a commissioner for the Westmont Park District. In fact, Diane, you just got elected April 7th to an additional 6-year term, so congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be still serving Westmont Park District.
So Diane, how would you describe yourself?
I think the one word that describes me the best is maternal. I'm very maternal. And when I say I'm maternal, I think of being very protective with people I love and all my beliefs and anything that I'm really feel strongly about.
You know, one of the things that I admire the most about you is your enthusiasm and the wonderful optimism that you've brought to all of the IAPD activities and events. It's just been fantastic. And so it makes me think 38 years ago, what was the thing that got you interested in serving as a park commissioner, the very first thing?
Well, I think the very first thing was I spent my whole childhood at parks. I was a very outdoor type of girl. I loved the outside. I love nature. And in 1978, my family moved to Westmont, and I had a very young family at that time. And the first thing I did was register at the church, our church, the school, and then I went over to the park district. Because at the park district, I could find safe ways and healthy ways to keep my family involved. And that was very important to me. And really, that's really how I came involved. There was an opening on the park board for an appointee position of a female that was leaving our park district, and at that time, the board was all male. And so one of the staff members asked me, or told me, that I should think about going in to interview for a position on the park board. And my first response was, really? But their response to me was, you live and breathe Westmont Park District. You're here all the time. So I thought about that, and I thought that's true. So I got involved. And once I got involved, it was just a perfect fit because I knew it was everything I believed in.
You know, since 1977, you've been on the board, and I did some
78.
78, okay. Well, I did some calculations,
Okay.
and if you met one meeting a month for 38 years, that's over 456 meetings, and if your meetings were about 3 hours long, it's over 1,370 hours of meetings. So with that being said, what has motivated you to stay involved?
I think what kept me being involved is that I'm still learning. That's one thing. It's a very exciting field. It changes all the time. I believe in the need for parks and recreation throughout all of the United States. And I feel like I'm still contributing. I feel like it's so important to do what we've accomplished, what I've accomplished over the last 38 years. And I'm not stale yet.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, with being on the IAPD Board of Trustees and being at conferences throughout the years, you've met so many park commissioners throughout your career. And so what would be the philosophy of a good park commissioner? What do you think that would be?
Well, I think, for one thing, a good park district commissioner has to know their village, their town, their city, and know its people, so you can meet the needs of those people. And those commissioners have to get educated. They really have to go to conference. Conference is such a great place to meet other commissioners, get other ideas, get inspired, and educate themselves. It's a great way. And I think IAPD also, with all the programs they have, I just think it's a wonderful experience.
And we've just had an election, so we've had a number of new commissioners elected. What advice would you give to a newly elected commissioner for the very first time?
Very first time?
Very first time.
Very first time. Well, listen and learn from your seasoned board members. Get educated by going to IAPD for conference, boot camps, and anything that they have that you can become a better commissioner. And then get in touch with the people in your community, get involved, join a club, know the people in your community, and also always respect your fellow board members. So that's probably
That's a good credo.
That's probably what I would say.
And turn over the IAPD membership card, because it's the board member creeds on the back of that.
Definitely,
So that would be good
definitely.
too.
That would be really good. That would be very good.
You know, park districts are such a unique delivery system for parks and recreation. When I know you've been to national conferences, and a lot of times park and recreation services are offered by a city or a county-wide system. And so why do you think that park districts as a unit of local government have an advantage over park and recreation services delivered by a city?
There's no question in my mind that park districts are better off when they're their own taxing body. Park districts that are run by city, villages, towns, the first thing, if there's any kind of funding problem, the first thing they would cut is parks and recs. They think about your streets, they think about law enforcement, they think about everything, but parks would probably be the last thing on their list. And maybe they just don't understand the impact and how important parks are to every person, from seniors down to infants. So I really feel like in Illinois, how we run our own park districts is just the perfect scenario. And the way to do that is also to work with your village and your town or your city, and have a good collaboration of thoughts, or what I'm trying to think of the word, just a good camaraderie between the two of them in order to have the best village, the best city, the best town that you could possibly have.
Because it's really all about quality of life in the end. And so
It is.
I know the Westmont Park District has wonderful partnerships with
Correct.
the city and with schools and with so many community groups.
Right.
And that's really the key to success as well, don't you think?
Oh, definitely, because it's a combination. It's what we can do for our residents. We should work together because the bottom line is to do what is going to enhance the lives of our residents.
Sure.
That's the only thing that matters. It's not a power struggle or who's going to win or not, or who's more powerful. It's let's work together to give as much to our residents as we possibly can.
Sure. You know, one of the other things I've observed is that makes parks and recreation such a high quality in Illinois are the professionals that run
Right.
park districts. And I know that throughout your years as a commissioner, you've seen a number of professionals. What kind of attributes do you think a professional should have in parks and recreation?
Well, for one thing, all our park and recs professionals have to be people persons. They have to be someone who can touch people's lives. They have to be outgoing, they have to be involved in the community, and they have to be team players. They have to be able to work with the community and work with their board in order to get anything accomplished. I really feel education is important because, as we all know, that's a key factor. So those are really the things. I think they have to be peacemakers, or be able to be a person that can pull the whole thing together, be able to work with your board of commissioners, be able to work with your village, and get everybody working under the same page.
Those are great attributes for sure. Here's kind of a loaded question for you, and that's, what do you think some of the major problems are that are facing parks and recreation today, and what do you think some of the resolutions are?
Well, one of the main problems, I think, is what we just touched on, is the fact that there's a lot of thought now in combining government groups right now. And I really would not want that happen in park districts. I really don't want our park district to be run by the village. I think that is one key that we really have to be careful and really do our homework as far as having people realize how good a thing it is to have park districts be our own taxing body. And another thing today is security and cyber fraud, cyber stealing. I mean, in today's world, with the cyber world being as big as it is, so many things, there's identity theft, and so many things can go on. You hear about bullying online, and you hear of protecting people's rights and their privacy. We really have to have things in place right now to protect us and to not break the Open Meeting Act, and just to be on top of what's happening in the cyber world.
Sure.
I think that's really important.
Oh, that's a very good point. Now, there are a lot of commissioners. We have over 2,100 elected commissioners throughout Illinois. What would you say to a commissioner about the advantages of being involved in IAPD?
I would tell any commissioner, if they don't get involved in IAPD, they are making a big mistake. IAPD has wonderful resources. It has wonderful educational programs. Our affinity programs are absolutely phenomenal. Our conference, people come from outside of Illinois, from other places, just to attend our conference because they realize the benefit of our conference and how much you can get out of it between talking to different vendors and being with other commissioners, getting new ideas, a shot in the arm of adrenaline because the excitement is just surrounding us during the conference, and all of IAPD's programs. I think anybody who doesn't look to IAPD and get information from them is really missing the boat. Personally, I feel like IAPD, I have grown so much since I've been involved in IAPD. I have seen the difference in myself in the last 10 years and how much more educated, how much more confident I am in the way we should run our park district here at home because being involved in IAPD.
You know, really, Parks and Recreation in the state of Illinois is like a big family. And don't you think that being involved, too, has created lifelong friendships that you have with people throughout the state of Illinois?
Definitely. It's a great connected pool of people that all care about the same things. My first year up at conference, I will never forget. It was in 1979, and I was looking out at all these people in this room at, I believe it was the Hyatt Regency in Chicago, thinking, wow, these people are doing fantastic things for their fellow men, and they're having a great time doing it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the conference is just a wonderful experience.
Yes.
We had 4,300 people at the conference
Right.
this year, so that's just phenomenal.
I know.
It's the largest conference, as you know, in the nation for Parks and Recreation besides the national.
Right, and it's not only good for commissioners. The cool part I think about conference also is commissioners, professionals, students, young students, and you see those young students out there, and they are just loving the field, and they're feeling the love. And I don't think anything gets you more inspired than that.
That's right. Now, here's a non-park related
Okay.
question, but based on your experience, and you've seen kids in recreational programs and other things, but what's your best advice for a 20-year-old?
I think my best advice for a 20-year-old is to respect your fellow man, to never forget you're American, and get involved in your country, your state, and your hometown, may it be village, city, or town, because that is the future, and it's where we live. So it should mean something. I mean, and have total respect for everybody. Listen to people, seniors, children. Look for their needs, and take lead, and don't be afraid to get involved.
Absolutely. That's a great message. 38 years, again, what do you consider one of your major contributions to Parks and Recreation?
Well, I think my major contribution to Parks and Recreation is my ultimate love of Parks and Recreation, that it is, to me, it's everything. I mean, it is me. Parks and Recreation is me. And I know my enthusiasm is overflowing and it's contagious. And I really feel that that's my strongest point.
That's great.
You can't help but know me and not know that I love Parks and Recs. And I will yell it to the top of the mountains how I feel about it. I could talk about it forever and tell people why they should get involved in it.
Absolutely, that's great. And how would you like to be remembered as a park commissioner?
I think I'd like to be remembered as a team player, someone who would fight for what they believe in for Parks and Recs, and then really a parkie. And to me, a parkie just means somebody with a smile on her face, or a smile on his face, who loves people and wants to spread the word as far as saving our world, getting involved in conservation, being a love of nature, being a love of culture, the arts, and to know that a park district is just a safe, educational, wonderful place for wholesome values to give to the next generation.
That's great. Now, thinking about the people in your life, what's the best advice that you ever got?
The best advice I ever got, I think, is that the most important thing that you should do is what you love, not necessarily what you're the best at, but what you love to do.
That's great. What do you think the benefits of Parks and Recreation are?
Oh my goodness, there's tons of benefits. The benefits are meeting more people, fighting obesity now, which is so important, getting kids outside, getting them away from the computer, getting an understanding of really what makes a difference in our world today. And I feel like the park system does all those things.
If funds were unlimited,
Okay.
what would you like to see happen at the Westmont Park District?
I would love to see the Westmont Park District have a bigger community center, a cultural center, and just a bigger community center where we could have more events, because we are kind of locked into, well, for one thing, I would love more green space, which I know, being a landlocked town.
Community's hard. You know?
Yes, that is impossible. So I would love to have a bigger community center, a more modernized community center, where we could stretch our wings, I guess I want to say. And I always wanted an aquatics park. I would still love that, but I know it's down the road because our residents have voted that down twice. I always feel you listen to the residents, what they can afford, and what's important to them. And I feel down the road it could happen. I really truly believe that down the road it could happen. But right now our residents are telling us it's not in the cards. It's not really what they want right now. And so I think we let it go for a while. We bring it back when we find more support for it. And at that time, I think our park district will take it on and do that. But right now, we're okay listening to our residents and trying to fulfill their needs.
Well, it's not a priority for them right now,
It
but
isn't.
I think that you're so wise to always listen to the residents. I think that's one of the things that really distinguishes park districts from other units of local government, because as a 5 or 7 member board, citizens can come and talk to you.
Right.
I imagine that people see you in the grocery store and let you know what they think about the park district, don't they?
Yes, they do. And that's another one of my strong points. I really feel that everybody in this town feels comfortable, in this village, feels comfortable that they can approach me at any time, and they know I will listen. If I don't know answers to a question that they ask me, I'll find out, because none of us know it all. And I really listen to their input and weigh it, bring it back to the board, talk about it. Every single person in this village is important to me, and I think they know that.
That's great. That's great advice as well. What do you think the future for Parks and Recreation is in the state, but also maybe nationwide? I mean, we're nicely situated to address some community ills. The health and wellness is a big thing for Parks and Recreation. Providing kids something to do after school when those hours between the time you get out of school and the time parents come home are so critical to youth. So with that in mind, what do you see as the future for Parks and Recreation?
Well, I think the future will be that park districts have even more partnerships with maybe hospitals or city agencies, museums, or whatever's out there that we could partnership with to give our residents more quality services. I think that is really, that's one of the keys, I think, is just working all together. And then I think if you ask me what I would like to see in the state of Illinois, what would be the most important thing, or down the road, what would my main goal be? I would like to see a park and a park district, and they belong to IAPD, in every single city, town, or village in Illinois.
That's an awesome vision. That's
that would
great.
that would be my ultimate vision, because I really think that every community needs to have a park system.
Well, you think big, and I always admired that
big.
about you. That's a good thing.
I think big, but we're moving that way.
That's right. Is there anything else as you think about your 38 years as a park commissioner that you'd like to add or tell those listeners that we have?
Just that I have enjoyed every single minute of it. And Peter brought up something about family. Westmont Park District has been my family. I mean, my kids grew up with it. It's like they hear it all the time. My little granddaughter wrote me a story about a year or two ago, and who her grandma is, and she gave me all my titles. And of course, she said grandma, mother, sister, friend, and commissioner. That was on there. And they have grown up as knowing me as the commissioner of Westmont. A funny thing too is one of my fellow commissioners is very close to one of our parks, Ty Warner, which is our biggest. His grandchildren tell everybody that this is Mr. Long's park. This is my grandpa's park. My grandchildren tell everybody, this is my grandma's park. So it's pretty funny. But my grandkids have grown up in Memorial, which is one of our older parks, because that's where they played Little League and everything else. So they also say Memorial is also grandma's park. So they spread the wealth around. Yeah, my grandmother, she's a commissioner. These are her parks. So we are very proud of that in our family.
Well, you should be. And that's really when you get to be the pinnacle of success, when grandchildren are identifying parks as, this is my grandmother's park.
This is my grandmother's park. That's very cool. And now that I've also brought my granddaughter with me to several IAPD events and down to Springfield, she's finding that very cool too, because now she sees the park district and the park system in a much bigger picture. So that's been thrilling for me.
Absolutely. Well, as a volunteer, you've really reached the pinnacle of success. You're the president of your own park board.
Right.
You've served there for 38 years. You're the chairwoman of the Illinois Association of Park Districts, one of the oldest park and recreation association in the state of Illinois. And so when I think back on your years of service and your years of service to IAPD, I'm just so grateful for your dedication and your heartfelt commitment to be a volunteer, because as most people know, and some people don't, as a park commissioner, you don't get paid. It's all volunteers, and you're doing it out of the love of your heart to be able to spend that precious time with us. So thank you very much for your volunteerism. Thank you for being the chairwoman of the Illinois Association of Park Districts, and for all those many, many meetings and groundbreakings and other events that you've gone to over the years. It's really a fantastic legacy.
Thank you, Peter, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. The park system of Illinois is my love. Only after my family and close friends. I mean, really, it is close to my heart, and it always will be.
I know it is, I can tell. Thank you very much for
You're
sitting down
welcome.
and having a conversation about it today.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.